God bless you, my brothers and sisters. I greet you after our 7:30 worship this morning. We had an anointed and blessed time in word and worship. One piece of news for the congregation I must share. This morning, right before the 7:30 worship, I received a phone call that another mother in our congregation, Mother Fanny Ingram, went home to be with the Lord quietly this morning. Please continue to keep our congregation in prayer as death continues to spend its time hovering around us. But it's not all bad, because these are people who died in faith, and those who die in faith will live in Him forever. Now here's the word for today. Today we shared from the book of Jude, which only has one chapter, verses 17 through 25. And we talked about the fact that there's no excuse for a believer to give up. Here's what we learned. Jude wrote to believers about the faith. He said to them to contend for the faith, because we have a common salvation that's rooted in the perfect work of Jesus Christ. But there were others who had crept in among the church who were saying that while Jesus was important, He wasn't the only thing, and that some of them were just using Jesus as an excuse to sin and to do the things that they wanted to do, splitting churches, damaging the faith, and causing many believers to fall off into places they shouldn't. And so he said we have to fight for the faith. And when we hear that, many of us think we have to fight against other people, but that's not what Jude says. Verse 17, 18, and 19 remind us that the apostles of Jesus Christ warned us this would come, told us to get ready. And then verse 20 tells us what to do. First, it tells us to look inwardly, because it says, build up your most holy faith in prayer and the Holy Spirit by reaching out your arms to God and by trusting God to send mercy when you need it. You look inwardly because you've got to get strong so you can stand up against those who would pull you away from what you know is true in Jesus Christ. But then verses 22 and 23 say, be careful how you look outwardly. Be gentle toward those who don't see things like you do. You don't have to beat them over the head to make them follow Christ. Our job is to be kind, gentle, and loving towards them. We are to, as we say traditionally, love the sinner, but not be so kind on the sin. We are not to beat people up because they sin, nor to judge them for their sins. We are simply to live a righteous life before them, and hopefully by our loving behavior convert them. And then when we're tempted to give up, because y'all, that's a heck of a fight, to stand in the middle of sin and to say, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I love you, can be a challenge, and many will try to pull you away from where you stand. But then the final thing, verses 24 and 25 tell us, is now unto Him who is able to keep us from falling. We look outward. We change how we look inward. We change how we look outward. And then finally, we make sure we look up. If you and I look up to God, He promises to keep us from falling. We can stand in the middle of this fight and never lose, because God promises us that we've already won. Well, my brothers and sisters, I hope you understand there's no excuse for you to give up. If you have to go to work in a hellish situation tomorrow, I challenge you, don't judge them. Look inward. Make sure you got yourself strong in your own faith. Look outward in love. Don't fight them. Love them. Give them the sense that Christ loves you when you're a sinner, and you can love them when they go through their sin. And then make sure you look up. That's how you'll stand. Do that, and you cannot lose. I love you with the pastor's heart. Grace and peace till we meet again.